In the next 60 minutes here on News Tonight, no ransom demands nor any form of contact from kidnappers of two Canadian women in Kumasi. We have the latest as the Canadian government commits resources to assist Ghana police rescue the victims who have now been gone for nearly 48 hours. We'll be live in Kumasi as the Canadian government updates its travel warning to its citizens traveling to Ghana. Now, also tonight, residents of Bali, they're calling for peace as schools close down following violent chieftaincy clashes, which led to the destruction of several properties.
Yeah. They give us holiday.
And when we came to school and the madam said that we should go home.
But currently, the situation is affecting everybody. And the best news we could do is to unite. If you don't have peace, how do you talk about development?
We'll hear from the Member of Parliament who is tonight taking on the security agencies for looking on. He claims unconcerned as the situation escalates. We'll hear from him. Majority in Parliament tonight is also dismissing warnings by the minority that the country's economy is in distress as a result of government's reckless borrowing.
How can you talk about an economy where GDP production is going up and come and tell us, confuse Ghanaians? Do you think, excuse my language, we don't understand the numbers?
And in business, Controller and Accountant General declares 95% of ghost names on the public payroll has been cleared.
And in sports, World Football Governing Body FIFA issues a statement in reaction to the arrest of CAF President Ahmad.
Well, we'll tell you what FIFA has been saying. We'll be live in France. Want to join us for that and more? Send us your views and comments, 0244 340437. My name is Evans Mensah. It is the second time in a month a foreign national has been kidnapped in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. In April, an Indian national was the victim. In the last 48 hours, a massive operation assisted by the Canadian officials have been underway in Kumasi in a desperate attempt to rescue two Canadian women who were kidnapped on Tuesday. They were bundled into a car and whisked away close to the Kumasi Royal Golf Club just before 9 p.m. In the last 24 hours, the Canadian government has updated its travel advisory, warning its nationals traveling to Ghana about what it claims are violent crimes, including armed robbery and kidnappings. We have more on that shortly. Joining me in the studio right now is head of our security desk, Kipchi Apia. In Kumasi is Oheming Teria. We'll be speaking shortly with the international relations expert, but also for my head of WANEP, Mano Bombandi, on this story as well. Gifty, let me start with you. What do we know about the circumstances under which these Canadians were kidnapped?
Okay, so according to the police reports, where they say that the ladies were kidnapped at the golf club, the Kumasi Royal Golf Club, at 8:25 p.m. on the 4th of June, which is Tuesday. And what we know is that they were forced into a vehicle. Apparently, they had ordered an Uber. The Uber arrived, but before they could get into the Uber, they had been forced into this vehicle that took them away, and it happened amidst gunshots.
I see. Do we know who they are, their ages?
So we know their ages, and we know that they work with an organization, an NGO known as the Youth Challenge International, based in Ghana. But in this release that we have from the police, we don't have their names. Even though we know their names, the police doesn't include their names here. It only tells us that they are 19 and 20. They're volunteers, they're 19 years, and they're 20.
The police is asking that in this statement, they are asking the public to assist with the investigations.
Right.
Have they provided any additional detail to assist the public actually help locate these girls?
No, they don't. And Evans, if you recall, this issue came up with the kidnapped girls in Takoradi as well. Lots of security experts said that, well, if you want people to help you, you need to provide information. You need to give them the leads that will help you, that will make them help you. Only thing we have here in the police report release is the ages of these two people and the organizations they were volunteering with. Nothing about their names, nothing about their photos. We're yet to find out from the police, why we can't put the photos of these people out so that other people, you never know who may have spotted them anywhere to help.
Well, my police sources tell us that, and you see part of the statement also warns the media to be circumspect. Apparently, there's a lot of pressure from the Canadian officials who want this handled, not blown out of proportion, discreetly, because we understand part of it is that the Canadians are flying in their own experts to come and assist with the process. They don't want things to be handled in the way that will further jeopardize our security, and so there's a lot happening in the background that is playing to this tussle that we are learning between the Kumasi local command and the Greater Accra office that is also been coordinating this matter. Keep to stay with me. Let me go to Kumasi right now. Let me bring in Ohiming Teria, who has been following this closely as well. Ohiming, we are learning more about the vehicle suspected to have been used in the kidnap, and also your police sources are telling you more. So, what more are we learning?
Thank you, Evans. What we do know is that the private car that freed the victims from a restaurant at Asokwa to the entrance of their hostel at Inshiayeso, the mate is a Toyota Corolla vehicle, and it comes with a color of which the police and then the other security agencies wouldn't want us to put out some of these details as the follow-up with the lease, because they managed to gather all this information from the footages of CCTV camera. So they have been monitoring developments, especially from the CCTV camera, how the vehicle treated the Uber from Asokwa all the way to Inshiayeso, where the two of the victims, they were three ladies, and when they alighted, then they started bundling them into the vehicle. And when the security man also of the hostel tried to intervene, that is when they started firing shots to scare onlookers. The police also managed to pick spent shells of what looks like 3.8 mm pistol from the scene, and they think that these are evidence or clues that will help in connecting the investigations to that will lead to the arrest of these suspects.
So there's a lot of information now coming through from what you've been told. Do we know if the kidnappers have contacted any of the families of these girls yet to maybe make a ransom demand?
Not that we know. That is what police and other security agencies that fear, that this could be a sophisticated gang operating in the Ashanti region. For instance, they know that kidnappers who want, demand ransom would have, contacted the family of the kidnapped ladies. But as we speak now, no such contact has been made. So that's the fear, and they want to do everything possible to arrest these suspects. And the Uber driver, who was also picked, police hope that if indeed he is connected, their investigations can also help in unraveling the circumstances behind this. And I'm also picking information that BNI has also come into the picture. They invited some, officials of education institution in the Ashanti region for questioning today. I'm still working on that information, but I can confirm that some officials were invited today for questioning at the BNI office. So all these will help police and the security agencies who have teamed up, in collaboration to investigate this matter to also unravel the circumstances. So even a lot of information, snippets of information, a lot of activities are going on now as we speak.
Ohiming, stay on the line for me briefly, because just as we speak, in the last 24 hours, the Canadian government, they have updated their travel advisory, warning Canadians traveling to Ghana about kidnappings and violent crimes. Gifty, you've been examining the latest update to the warnings. On crime. What are they warning their citizens to do?
So let me just say that it's a very comprehensive information they have on their website for their citizens compared to the others that I have seen. On crime, they talk about petty crimes. So they begin with warning them on petty crimes, saying pickpocketing, purse snatching is common, and then individually, sometimes people on motorbikes could attack you and steal from you. They also talk about theft luggage, that this could happen in the hotels, and they tell them to ensure their personal belongings are safe. But when it comes to violent crimes, and they go on and talk about about armed robbery. They talk about kidnapping, and they say this is how they put it. Including, they say violent crimes including armed robbery and kidnapping may occur. And that makes it sound very makes it sound as though it's really easy to have such kidnapping situations around here. And they say be aware of your surroundings and avoid walking alone or displaying signs of wealth. Ensure that your windows and doors in your residence are secured. And they say that if you are a victim of all of these, do not resist, because the attackers have sometimes seriously assaulted the victims, failing to comply or not complying quick enough.
They isolate a few particular areas where they say their citizens should not go. But all these are in Accra. We don't hear play any part of Kumasi in this list.
Well, we don't. What we have here, we have Accra, and they isolate Accra, and they say neighborhoods like Agbobulushi, Ashaiman, Aveno, Nima, and they say except the main highway. They also mention Sotium, they mention Sukura. They say these have been sites. They have been sites of violent crime. So they ask their citizens to avoid these neighborhoods, particularly at night.
And I'm getting some additional information. You know, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation have taken a keen interest in this development as well, and they are in direct touch with the Global Affairs Canada, which is like the Foreign Affairs wing, and they're getting some additional information on this, and it sort of clarifies why they haven't added Kumasi to the list yet, although Accra has many. They make the point in the report that they have filed, that I've seen, that they don't see Kumasi as a place that is known or for kidnappings, except that they point to the Indian case.
Yes.
They make the point about, they cite the Indian case as one of those that's happened the last month. And they say kidnappings in this area are not commonplace, but analysts suggest this latest incident, this is an interesting one, this latest incident is more likely linked to criminal gangs seeking a swift ransom payoff than more militant groups. This is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's view on what is happening in Ghana.
There are several media houses, several international broadcasters who are reporting this. And all you need to do is just Google kidnapping or Google kidnapping Ghana, and you see several newspapers, BBC, Reuters, they're all reporting. If you take, for example, and based on what you said from the CBC, what they say, the way that the Guardian puts it, is that 2 Canadian volunteers missing in rare kidnapping in Ghana. So they describe it as a rare kidnapping. I think perhaps it's because it's happening in Kumasi and in that particular area, because on their website they have Accra, they have the names of places listed here as far as Accra is concerned, which is where they
There's also a very interesting point, and Ohiming confirms that police sources have told him that the kidnappers have not reached out to demand any ransom.
Yeah.
Now, if you read the Canadian Broadcasting Services report, the CBC's report, they say that the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has been adamant that his government, and I'm quoting, his government will not facilitate payments to such groups. I mean, kidnappers, such groups, while his predecessor, Stephen Harper, publicly denied paying any ransom. So it's an issue in Canada already. That in political circles are trying to juggle.
And they tie it down to a bigger issue of international. I mean, all these countries do not, and that's a policy. They do not negotiate. That's what they say. They do not negotiate with people,
with terrorists, with kidnappers,
exactly.
etc. Now, talking about terrorists, though, if you look at the Canadian travel warning they've issued and updated in the last 24 hours, they talk about terrorism in Ghana. What are they saying about that?
And they talk about terrorism, and it's not just them. All the others do talk about terrorism. In their notes, they say that there is a threat of terrorism. And I'm reading verbatim. They say terrorist attacks could occur at any time. Targets could include, and they list them, government buildings, including schools, places of worship, airports and other transportation hubs and networks, public areas such as tourist attractions, restaurants, bars, coffee shops, shopping centers, markets, hotels, and other sites frequented by foreigners. So they warn them to be always aware of their surroundings when they're in public places.
Gifty, thank you very much. I want to quickly go back to Ohiming. Ohiming, we also have further information that the Canadian ambassador had been, well, if you read the CBC report, it indicates that the Canadian government, they've been in touch with the families of these 2 kidnapped girls. But in Kumasi, there's a presence on the ground of Canadian officials, correct?
Yes, Evans, they have been here since yesterday, even when I was at the regional police headquarters. The officials were there. They came in their official vehicles and were meeting the regional police commander. But there's another angle to the story that people think that if police want the public to assist them, they expect police at least to put out pictures of the victims or the women who have been kidnapped. And that is something that police are yet to do, displaying or issuing pictures of these victims so that people will be able, or the public will be able to assist police in that regard.
Oh, Hemming, thank you very much. I have on the telephone line right now former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister. He was also the former head of the West African Peace, WANEP, the West African Network for Peace Building, Emmanuel Bombande. Mr. Bombande, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to your listeners.
This is not the first time in the last few months. In fact, the last month we've had two foreign nationals been kidnapped. The Indian national who was kidnapped, and then we've had this one. Gifty, there's other foreign national who was also kidnapped in the last Estonian.
The head of mission for the Estonia High Commission here.
In those two cases, Indian and that, both men were rescued successfully.
Yes, they were. But for the Estonian case, it was, you could say, mere luck, because he was just taking a walk in his neighborhood, and then he was forced at gunpoint into a vehicle. This happened in Labone, but then they transported him to Lashbi. And someone may have given the patrol team a tip-off. So they went into the house just to check. And then the people there, which we know now, according to the police, are Nigerians, bolted. So when that happened, they opened the door and the Estonian diplomat came out.
Was found.
Yeah.
Mr. Bombande, what is the effect of this? And I've just been reporting that this has gained so much international attention. Almost all the international news outlets are reporting this. They could have implications for how Ghana is perceived, especially in the wider context of what we've been reporting in the last few days about the general security threat in the sub-region.
Absolutely, Evans. Keep in mind that this year, 2019, in August, we are going to celebrate the year of return. And all the preparations are about a massive movement for 400 years of Ghana in the global community. And this in itself is a major tourist activity. Now, when you begin to have diplomatic, if you would call it cables, that begin with one country, it tends to speak to others. And these warnings then could be increased to levels which make it very discouraging for people to want to travel to Ghana. So there is that first level of what you might describe as a very bad time for these things to be happening at the time that we then are organizing ourselves, particularly in culture and in tourism, to be very present in the global community about the areas that even bring us good financial benefits and related dividends. So yes, there is that aspect. But then there is something else very quickly that I need to raise, which is a taboo. If you look at the part in you and your correspondent, the description, all these victims are non-black as Ghanaians. And what that means is it is appalling that the target are people of white skin or colored. Now, this is exactly what started to happen in the capital of Mali, Bamako, in which just sitting at a restaurant, your skin color could make you a target, and then for ransom. The difference, as you have reported, is that in that case, it was the activities of terrorist groups and violent extremist groups. That is not yet the case here. It is probably the case of people wanting to make quick money. But do not forget that there are interlinkages. If we don't hold this and hold this immediately, then we become a soft target that could now extend to those other adventurers who would even want to do more of it for the type of political ransom that is just bigger than merely payments for the release of the victims.
So how should Ghana be dealing with this threat now?
First of all, we must not respond to this as piecemeal. We need to look at it comprehensively, and as urgently as yesterday, I would advocate that we need to come out with a coordinated strategy that can be coherent and that can be effective as a response. I say this because the threats are multidimensional. You cannot separate the kidnappings from the proliferation of small arms. And the spread of violent extremism from the Sahel that is knocking on our doors. So what we need to do is to see these threats together, develop a comprehensive strategy, and that strategy puts our security forces to be in the front line and responding directly at the operational level. But the Ghanaian public becomes the backbone. So just as the security agencies prepare in their trainings to respond, you need the minimum civic education and awareness creation so that when you are asking the public to support the police with information, you need to also inform the public what should they look for and how do they report. You then prepare them towards that. And for that reason, I would have thought that by now, our National Peace Council, our National Commission for Civic Education would have been convening the type of meetings to strategize the indicators and the criteria of how you educate the public. And even with you in the media, I would have suggested that they partner with you, and I'm sure you will be willing every day to devote 5 minutes for the type of campaign that is drawing the attention of the Ghanaian public to what they should do, what should they be looking for, and what information should they provide. Let me put on this note with a very simple example. Evans, you remember when the threat of Ebola was at our doors, and those types of threats, you were part of the campaign that educated Ghanaians on what to do in the event that Ebola is detected, all the hygiene details. That threat is as a threat that we are currently experiencing, except that the threat of kidnappings and the spread of violent extremism and terrorism is not a disease, life-threatening threat, but it is equally a threat that can boomerang and spread to, if you call it, reduce our image internationally, make us a country that could join the list of terrorist countries. All we need is just one terrorist attack, and we'll be on the list of countries that have been attacked through a terrorist activity. And it takes years to be able to clean our name and our image out of that and to become again the Ghana we were. All these make it urgent and necessary for the type of comprehensive strategy I have advocated in order that we begin to deploy those measures that make it possible to halt the kidnappings, stop the spread of the violent extremism from the Sahel coming through the north, and make sure that we move forward as we used to. It's a very important pillar for our development. It's not just a security activity, it's also development. Because you cannot be talking about trying to put your structures in place to grow economically, expand and grow your economy, when at the same time, in the international community, you will be included in the list of a destination that people cannot go because insecurity and kidnapping has taken over the peacefulness of the state.
I'm grateful that you joined us with those thoughts, and that is Emmanuel Bombande there. He is a former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, former head of the West African Network for Peace Building. I've seen a lot of your messages coming through on this story. I will share with the rest of the world shortly. When we return from this break, we'll take you to the north of Bole, to be very specific, where the residents they are calling for peace. There's also further security issues that we have to deal with there. When we return, we have more on that for you as the security agencies step up efforts to bring lasting peace to that part of the country. Stay with us.
Superior services, your success our portion. Trusted, innovative financial services, providing affiliation, support and solutions. Customer-oriented, superior services, your success our portion. 10 good years of loyalty, service with integrity, protective of our Ghanaian brand. 10 years of Texas, 10 years of loyalty. Your success our passion, oh yeah. Your success our passion.
Your success our passion. Thank you, folks. On my A list today, show some love for contractor EB. So, contractor, what do you think about the country's changing skyline?
Oh, send them down there, Yuma. Across skyline, they change you, papa.
Wow. Contractor, don't you get worried when you hear of buildings collapsing?
I'm out for an answer on Tassam. It is the likability of using low quality product.
Please explain why.
Yeah, cement is a no quality on the gasem. Village of Fefu way. It was built with gasem. Says the gasem is your construction. Osi ho pumping. Sha N1, can you tell market? But to Kano Kumasi Airport, Cape Coast Stadium, a trouble gas project in gasebo. Messi, what a quality. You know what is quality?
Gasem, 3 cement grades, greater value. Gasem, the nation builder.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Later on News 9, majority in parliament dismisses warning by the minority that the country's economy is in distress as a result of government's reckless borrowing.
How can you talk about an economy where GDP production is going up and come and tell us, confused Ghanaians, do you think, excuse my language, we don't understand the numbers?
A few of the messages now. This one from Shiftman from Atonsu says it's very unfortunate that this act of kidnapping is happening in Kumasi, but I believe that the Ashanti Regional Police Command will do everything within their reach to get the Canadian girls. This one has no name. He says, well, Matthew says, in fact, Evans, this kidnapping scare is becoming serious and Ghanaians are living in fear for their lives, and I think our security agencies must up their tactics to save citizens and foreigners as well. Another one here says, Auntie Della says, has the Ghanaian Immigration Service checked with the Burkinabe immigration to find out the truth or otherwise of the statement of these so-called refugees? Why couldn't the Burkinabe immigration provide these refugees the security needed? The Kofi Siedu is calling for the resignation of the National Security Minister. Benedicta in Ngo Prom Prom says, as Ghanaians, we must all take our security serious and be vigilant on this possible terrorist attack. But I hope national security is not trying to plunge our beloved country into fear and panic. Keep your messages coming. I'll share it with the rest of the world. Now, residents of Bole are tonight calling on the two feuding factions in the chieftaincy dispute there to give peace a chance. Now, the two, they are under curfew after several properties were destroyed in violent clashes, including 2 houses and the guest house torched yesterday. Today, schools in the town have closed down due to the tension in the area. Northern Region Police PRO received Tanko, told head of our security desk, Kiptendo Apia, on the pause what sparked the clashes.
The wall is not finished and the irrigation too has not been.
Late last year, or somewhere last year, the Bolewura passed on, and there was plans ahead to get somebody to succeed him. So the kingmakers of Bole nominated somebody, and Yapungra also nominated another person. But the kingmakers of Bole, their choice was a popular choice within the Bole community. So while the wranglings were ongoing, the matter was taken to the Regional House of Chiefs. And the Regional House of Chiefs ruled that the nominee of the kingmakers of Bole is the person who is supposed to succeed the Bolewura. So there were confusion when the ruling came. And eventually, Alhaji Abubakar, who was nominated by the Yagunra, had to leave town. The day before the Eid, he came to town and said he was going to be part of the Eid prayer. But the youth in the town agitated against us and were questioning whether he was going there as a chief or as an ordinary person. The chief imam of Bole thought it wise to suspend the prayer. And some people also managed to try to stage the prayer. That brought the confusion.
Well, Member of Parliament for the area, Yusuf Suleimana, is taking on the security agencies there for looking on, he alleges, on concern as the situation escalates.
I think that the security in Bole is not helping us. The security is not helping us because, look, we all saw what happened from day one. One chief skinned. For me, if government was not interested in allowing that person skinned, we use dissect, we use the security apparatus to stop the person until we get a complete resolution of it, and we know who is really the person to govern us traditionally. But the person was ensconced, and so we had Ebola Ura. Few months later, another person was ensconced. The security apparatus, everybody was watching, and he was also ensconced. Even that when he was being ensconced, we were told that there was enough security. But a young man lost his life, leaving behind 7 children and 2 wives. That's a burden. Now, beyond that, 2-3 days ago, one of the chiefs who was outside Bole came in. And one would have thought that that was enough a signal that, look, there will be confusion. Because you cannot have 2 chiefs in one town. And so, look, there's the likelihood that there will be mayhem. And nothing happened.
For you, they are more like sleeping on the job?
I think so. Perhaps the numbers are not encouraging. And then again, you and I know that when it comes to controlling the mob, of this nature, you need the military. You understand me? The training of the police is different from the way the military is trained. And so if you get the 2 of them coming together, they are able to stop some of these issues. So I think that the national security, the interior minister, the regional minister, and for that matter, RESEC and DISEC should do well and ensure that they beef up security in Bole Bamboy.
Well, as this is happening, as we've been reporting, schools have been affected by this. Our correspondent in the Savannah region has been interacting and speaking to residents, including school children who have been affected.
It's just a matter of chieftaincy disputes among the same people, from the same clan. They are all the same people. But what is happening actually is affecting the whole people in Bole. It's not everybody that is part of the chieftaincy issues. People are coming far away. Some are we have different ethnic groups in the society. But currently, the situation is affecting everybody. In order for such thing to happen, they have to all come together so that they will unite in order to bring peace to the community. And the best thing we could do is to unite before if you don't have peace, how do you talk about development? Unlike other places, when you go to the southern sector, you will see that they are far going ahead, simply because such things are not happening there. But why northerners?
Talk to me. Which be? Yes. Why in the school you are here? Because of the curfew. Curfew? Yeah. They give us holiday. But the curfew starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. Yes.
Because they are fighting because of the chief. And when we came to school and the madam said that we should go home.
Why are they fighting?
Because that one said that can't say that he is the chief, and I want to say that he want to become the chief, and they were fighting because of the chief.
Well, Isaac Nonya is a Savannah region correspondent and joins us on the line right now. There has been a RECSEC meeting, a Regional Security Council meeting on this. What is the outcome of that, Isaac?
Precisely so. Let me say that there were 2 RECSEC meetings held today, the first one and then the second one. The first one, the understanding was that they needed to identify those who were allegedly involved in the disturbances. That they didn't end up with any results. So there came the second one, and that was held in the absence of the Army General, Brigadier General Ofuri. When they came out, I eardropped something that they actually ended up. That is, 3 people whose names were given to them earlier before this conflict have been given to them again. And they are making preparation to pick them up.
Isaac, thank you very much for that quick update on that Security Council meeting. And as we talk about the security situation in the country, the government is tonight doing something about it with the handing over of some 109 buses to the vehicles to the Ghana Police Service this morning. At this particular event, the Vice President, who was in attendance, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says government is concerned about the shortfall in logistics within the Ghana Police Service and is working to meet the demand in order to help the police provide timely and world-class policing to you, the citizens.
We were quite frankly surprised about the level of logistical challenges that the police services face. We are all familiar with stories about someone who has had a robbery or some other crime committed, and they want the police to come, but the local police station may not have a vehicle. And then the private person has to find a vehicle to go and transport the police. This is not the type of police service we want in Ghana or deserve. And this is why the president made it a point that we should do everything possible to make sure that the necessary logistics in terms of vehicles, in terms of equipment, ammunition, and so on, are provided in an adequate measure. And it is for this reason that you are seeing this major ramp up of provision of vehicles to the Ghana Police Service. As the Deputy IGP has said, since 2017, 481 vehicles have been provided. And we have, after this particular 109, we have received the bill of lading of another 109, which will arrive in another 3 months' time. The President is of the view that when you join the security services, you are putting your life on the line for Mother Ghana. And so Mother Ghana must provide for the police services the adequate logistics to protect themselves and to defend the security of the nation.
And that is the Vice President there. So listening to Newsnight, it's on Joy 99.7 FM. Time for business, and George Yaffe is here with the very latest. Hello, George.
Hi, Evanson. I don't know where you remember Ghostbusters, but when you're talking about Ghostbusters in the public sector, looks like they are working a lot when it comes to the wage bill. Because you are hearing that about 95% of the ghost names on the wage bill have been cleared. I'll be getting more details on that one. And Girl in talks with Tyler to take up a stake in a new oil block secured a second interest in an oil block after that of ExxonMobil. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Game over.
Oh no, I lost again. Mommy, can you please buy me some coins for my game from Play Store? Please?
Kojo, how? I don't even have a debit card.
Hey Mommy, don't you know you don't need a debit card to buy on Play Store. You can pay with MTN Momo.
Can I?
Yes.
Hey Kojo, how do you know?
Mommy, everybody's talking about it at
Really?
You can now use MTN Momo to buy your favorite apps and games on Play Store. First, choose the app or game you want and select the MTN Momo option to pay. It's that simple.
Yes, I did it. Mommy, I won.
We did for you, everywhere you go.
Honey, I need to get some.
But I don't have cash on me. Let me get some fuel quickly and let's go.
And how are you going to get the fuel? I thought you said you didn't have cash on you. What is this one?
My Puma card.
All it takes is a card. The Puma card allows you to buy fuel cash-free from all Puma energy filling stations. You can use your Puma card with any Visa points of sale and ATM across the country. The Puma card also works on mobile money. You get amazing discounts when you fill up with your Puma card. So register for free and get your Puma card instantly at any Puma filling station.
And you only got one for yourself, eh?
Yeah, would I have had that piece of mind?
Oh, thank you, honey.
And where are you going?
I'm getting something from the shop real quick. I need to test the card.
Puma card. Cash-free convenience.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop. Where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh
Yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, about 95% of goods names on the public payroll have been cleared. Now, that's according to the Controller and Accountant General, Kwesi Bosompem. This follows months of forensic audits to clear the payroll of persons that were actually not working. Kwesi Bosompem tells Joy Business the move would help the country make some savings when it comes to its public wage bill.
You know, we have a system now where the MDAs are responsible for their own payroll. After the payroll has been done, we send it back in an electronic form called electronic payment voucher system. And that system is for you, the MDA, to look through the numbers and say, yes, indeed, this is our worker. This is not our worker. Those who are not part of you, you remove them. If you allow any ghost name to be on your payroll, it's not controller who will be held liable, but you, the MDA, and the head of the MDA will be responsible for that.
Timely payment of public sector workers, it also used to be a problem in the past. I get from you that you made a lot of progress about that and that people are being paid on time. Is that the situation as we speak now?
I'm happy you said it used to be in the past. Now we go strictly by the payroll timetable. And at times we even pay a day or two before the due date.
Controller and Accountant General Kwesi Bosompem. Now, GOIL says it is in talks with Tullow to take up a stake in its bid of a new oil block in the country. The move is part of a broader strategy to be heavy in oil exploration business in the country. The new acting managing director of GOIL, Kwame Oseprempe, who disclosed this to Joy Business, says they have come very far with these discussions.
Tullow won a block in the last bid. We are making a to partner Tullow in the Afrima game as their local content fund. We are on it, and very soon it will come to it will show that GOIL we have a bigger muscle and we are moving ahead.
It looks like the GOIL is expanding very fast. You're also going to the upstream now. Do we have what it takes to be heavy in that area? Some will say.
The initial outlay is not so much. If we look at our partnership with ExxonMobil, the first 5 years is 25 million. For GOIL, 25 million. Is not so much. You don't know how much our exposure will be in the Tullow one.
That's the new acting managing director of GOIL, Kwame Oseprempe. Now, the IMF staff are in town for their Article 4 consultation with government. The team arrived in the country on Monday. They are coming 2 clear months after the country completed its program with the IMF. So what will be the focus of this visit? Well, we understand it will help the fund assess the health of the economy and whether government is on track to forestall future financial problems. The visit is also affording the fund an opportunity to establish whether government is on track a few months after completing the IMF program. Now, Barclays Bank has given the firm assurance to customers of its commitment to robust governance and sound business principles. This was contained in a notice issued to clients today after the recent regulatory fine. We have details of this notice and other issues in this report.
Barclays Bank in the notice also assured its customers that it remains highly liquid and well capitalized to support their banking needs. This follows text messages circulating around that government wants to collapse the bank or merge it with another bank because of liquidity issues. But Barclays Bank says all these are rumors. It again maintained in the notice that it would continue to partner its clients for many more years to come and help bring possibilities to life. It also reminded the customers that they are engaging the regulator on the matter and will bring updates on further developments.
And that was a Business Desk report. Still on the banking sector, Chief Executive of Standard Chartered Bank Ghana is back in a call by the regulator for the establishment of a special court to help pursue cases with debtors. Now, this was on the back of the bank recording a huge jump in its impairment, an initial figure of 9.5 million Ghana cedis 2017 to almost over 100 million Ghana cedis, and in 2018. Now, speaking at a press briefing after the bank's annual general meeting today, Chief Executive Mansonetti said the court is necessary to help secure these funds.
In terms of impairments, the environment is challenging, and I think that if you're aware that sometimes the cases in court, so the fact that the central bank had asked us to write off doesn't necessarily mean that we will not pursue those loans. I mean, it's incumbent in us that we pursue those loans as well. But the environment is such that sometimes the cases do take a long time in courts, and actually support the governor's stance to sort of create a special court to look at these cases. So it's something that I support and laud the governor for trying to push.
And that's the Chief Executive of Standard Chartered Bank, Ghana, Mansonetti. Now, in terms of dividend payment, they declared a dividend of 1 Ghana cedi, 4 pesos for each share held. Now, let's talking about shares. Let's jump to the stock market. And if you've invested on the market from the year to date, it's actually gone down by over 4%. In terms of trades, the price actually stayed the same. There wasn't any movement or changes to the disadvantage of investors on the market at the end of trading. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Evans.
Joe, thank you very much. And there's a debate today about our debt stock, and I'm sure you've been following that. I'm waiting to hear what the business desk have to say about what the fact-checking says about where we stand. Where are we now in terms
Well, I
of
think
the,
that it's gone hugely up. I mean, you're closing almost around 200 billion Ghana cedis, and you look at in terms of the share of versus the GDP, you're looking about 58%. But again, when it comes to the IMF, they are not just looking at the debt GDP ratio. They're looking at, when they do an assessment, the debt sustainability analysis. And clearly, we are at risk of high debt distress. More of a warning to investors that, listen, if you deal with this country, they could have problems in paying their debts on time. But some also say that over the years, has Ghana ever defaulted on his debts?
I mean, at least since HIPIC, we haven't.
Yes, but the problem is that we are really getting to areas where it's not good for the economy. If we take every revenue that we raise, substantial of that amount of that revenue is going into service these debts. If you go through the budget again, you're looking at over 15 billion Ghana cedis set aside just interest payments.
Well, today the minority, they've been holding a press conference, and they say the country's debt stock currently stands at 200 billion Ghana cedis, of which more than 80 billion Ghana cedis has been accrued since 2017. The minority at the media briefing warned government is endangering the country's economy. The spokesperson on finance, Case Latour-Folson, says government is endangering Ghana's economy, and this is becoming reckless.
The 200 billion Ghana cedis national debt represents an increase of about 80 billion Ghana cedis in the last 2 months and 2.5 years, not exactly 2.5 years, but about 27 months, 27 months of President Akufo-Addo's government. We draw attention to the change since 2016 for 3 reasons. To the Mahama era, first, there was the promise not to borrow. Second, the MPP has benefited from a 25% bonus or increase in the GDP due to the rebasing exercise that was started obviously by the NDC administration. And then thirdly, additional oil field, Sankofa and 10, that has almost tripled output at an average of 60% price increase.
No, but government spokesperson on the economy, Daniel Achim-Abuaji, says the economy is resilient and has a capacity to take loans.
Most of the things they didn't pay for it. So MPP, yes, you have to show that you are a responsible government. Don't forget, it is on record that NDC arrears accumulation rate is about 36%. MPP arrears accumulation rate is 13%, which means we have to take care of their mess and continue to manage. And also, even workers, pension, they cry onto NDC government for 7 years that no, we need our, when we go on pension, we need government. We came, 7 years NDC did not pay. We came and we paid over 6 billion. And so you just can't come and throw dust on Ghanaians and say that. I think NDC they have not made any news.
Let's bring in an independent watcher of the economy, Professor John Gachis, on the telephone line with us. Prof, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you.
So this debt conversation, we've been having it for a while. Where we stand currently, are we at any risk of debt distress?
Well, I think you need to look at that from the numbers in terms of debt relating to revenue mobilization, and that is precarious. If you look at revenue mobilization to GDP, that is below 20%. If you look at commitment to capital expenditure, it's woefully below the commitment to repayment of debt. For 2019, it is estimated to be around 18.6 billion. So these are the signs you see, and almost every institution is commenting about low revenue mobilization. It is low revenue mobilization that provides a risk for which you continuously borrow more to fill the gap. So there is something to comment about, and there is something for government to work on. I don't think that comparing your debt to GDP gives you any room to be bold, because the benefit you get from GDP should be related to the revenue that GDP provides for the economy, the opportunities that GDP provides for the economy for people to engage in productive activities and contribute to tax revenue and other revenue. And that is what the GDP is not able to provide. So if you only compare your debt to GDP and claim that because it's not up to a certain 70% or it's lower than the previous time, then that would be misleading. Look at the repayment burden. Look at the repayment burden as a ratio of revenue mobilization, and you will see your real level.
I'm grateful that you joined us with those thoughts. Professor John Gachido is an economist joining us with his thoughts on this subject. So listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's do some sports now. There's a big sports story on the continent today, and Hans Mensando joins me with the very latest on this, and it has to do with the arrest in France of the CAF president, Hans.
Yes, Ahmad, and of course, it's been trending across various media portals across the world. And essentially simple, the CAF president, who is also a FIFA vice president, has been arrested in France.
I see. What do we know about this development? Anything else we're learning?
Now, so far, we know that Ahmad was arrested this morning at his hotel in Paris, where global chiefs have gathered this week for FIFA's annual congress and the start of the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. His 2-year stint, let me say, as the leader of Africa's football governing body.
He's been CAF president for only 2 years?
Since 2017, when he replaced Issa Hayatou. And his reign has been laden with a lot of controversies, and he's already the subject of a FIFA Ethics Committee probe. Now, today's arrest, we understand, is related to bribery allegations linked to the 2017 switch CAF made from its German kit supplier Puma to French company Tactical Steel.
You don't mess with the Europeans. Now, we understand FIFA has issued a statement on this. For more on that, let's listen to Gary L. Smith, who's currently in France monitoring events.
Just over 12 hours after the picking up of the CAF president from his hotel in Paris, the organization is yet to issue a statement clarifying or giving us an idea of what has happened. However, FIFA, the World Football Governing Body, have spoken. They have hinted that Ahmad is already under investigation with its ethics committee and have pledged to support any investigations that the French authorities will go with. Also of note is the fact that Ahmad, we understand, says he's not going to speak until his lawyers are present, and the French authorities have also put in a request to search the headquarters of the Confederation of African Football in Cairo so that they can get more evidence. The case, Ahmad, is in the police custody, for as it were, is to assist investigation involving a matter from December 2017 where we understand that German sportswear manufacturer Puma were given a deal legally by CAF to the tune of about $312,000 or so. However, Ahmad, we understand, uses influence to get the deal for the supply of kit to a company called Tactical Steel, which, as it happens, is owned by someone close to him, his friend. So that is what the investigation is about, and we are still waiting for confirmation or any updates from the Confederation of African Football. For now, though, nothing much has gone on from that side.
Gary sent us that report from France, but there is some additional information that
absolutely
this,
from the
is-
FIFA statement. So FIFA essentially says that it's taking note of the alleged event concerning Ahmad Ahmad, and as you know, has been reported, he's been questioned by French authorities, and the FIFA says it is, however, unaware of the details surrounding this investigation and is therefore not in a position to make any comment on it specifically. As that, it is asking the French authorities for any information that might be relevant to investigations taking place within its ethics committee, what I mentioned earlier, that Ahmad is a subject of. And FIFA also emphasized the presumption of innocence of Ahmad until, you know, he's proven guilty. So FIFA says that it is now clean from the scandals that tarnish its reputation, and this same determination should prevail in governing bodies such as confederations.
I see. Possible outcomes, I guess, is that currently that seat is vacant because the acting will take over?
For now, absolutely,
Until
yeah.
the
So
process is-
that acting will be Amaju Pene, who is the Nigerian FA, you know, president. But a number of possible outcomes also in terms of Ahmad's arrest, you know, in Paris. He could be charged with an offense and released, if you like, and he could also be released today after questioning with no charge at all. That seems unlikely because up until now we don't know whether he spoke. He says he's not going to talk until his lawyers are present, and so we don't know the situation on that one. And he could be detained for investigation and won't be able to leave the country. That's France.
Hans, thank you very much with that update. Now, in 2008, government awarded a contract worth over 800,000 cedis to rehabilitate an irrigation dam at Nakori in the Upper West region. Now, the same year, 75,000 cedis was also disbursed for rehabilitation of an irrigation dam at Dori in the Upper West region. A project status implementation report from the Ghana Irrigation Department Authority dated 13th February 2019 indicated that the two dams had been completed, but John News' Kwete Nati has been tracking oil-funded projects across the country and reports that the Nakori and Dori dams are yet to be completed, although they have it on record at the Irrigation Authority that they've all been done. It's one of the highlights of the latest Joy News Hotline documentary, Leaking Oil, set for broadcast on Monday. Take a listen.
In December 2008, government awarded a contract worth over 800,000 cedis to a local contractor, Adam Wala, to rehabilitate an irrigation dam at Nakore in the Upper West region. A project status implementation report from the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority dated February 13, 2019 indicates that the rehabilitation work is completed. But Joy News' checks at the dam site reveal this is inaccurate. 11 years after this contract was awarded, the wall meant to hold the water in the dam is yet to be constructed. Pensive-looking Osman Ibrahim is former assembly member of Nakore. He says the only work done by the contractor was to place boulders at the banks of a dam and a pipeline that channels water from one point of a dam to the other.
Because the wall is not finished and the irrigation too has not been finished. The lanes that the water will pass has not been done. A lot of challenges are still in the dam.
In the dry season, farmers here at Nakore are helpless. The farms are lying fallow and dry. The source of water is miles away. Their dam was their hope, but it's not been completed to channel water to their farmlands. Osman Ibrahim again.
There are a lot of people who cannot farm, and there are some people too who are old. So if the irrigation was to be done, some of the old men and some of the women who cannot go far to farm, they can also come and have dry season gardens.
Well, on that note, watch out for that documentary airing next Monday. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.